guys, welcome back to another episode of Unmasked Health. I'm Shelly, your host. Today we're going to continue with the mental health series, and we're going to kind of talk about, are men seeking quick solutions or long-term solutions for their mental health. We know that men are not seeking mental health quite as much as women are, not professionally anyway. There's a fear that their masculinity will be impacted, or how they will appear, their manhood's going to be impacted. There's a threat to the masculinity norms. Like, we still expect men just to get up every day and go about life and go have all the stresses just like we as women do, and just to keep manning up. And we are trying to change that here. We're trying to stop that stigma. I don't know if many of you that are listening can identify with this, but how many of you that are listening have actually identified that you've got, or you possibly might have, a mental health disorder like depression? And, you know, and you just put it off as stress, because you're a man, because, you have to go to work every day, because you're expected to be the breadwinner, because, you're expected to be the tough guy. And so you just said, hey, I'm just under a lot of stress, when in reality, you're hitting a wall every single day. And you start to, you start to like lose interest in doing your normal activities, your hobbies. You lose interest in sex, and that is saying a huge thing for men. Because, again, like I said last episode, men are the sexual lovers, women are the emotional lovers. I mean, you will find the rarity, where that's not the case, but in majority, men are sexual lovers. So when you have a man that's all of a sudden just not interested in sex, or he's gradually lost interest in, sex, that should be a red flag. Women, if you're listening, your significant other's listening, that should be a red flag that something's going on with a man in your life. Maybe you, as a man, have talked to some of your friends and around you, and you've tried to open up to them about, I'm just under a lot of stress, or me and my wife are going through problems, or, whatever. And it just seems like you just kind of dismiss it just a little bit, like, oh, it'll just get better. It'll get better. I think that if, you have someone that comes back that you're talking to and goes, hey, I've also been in the same shoes as you. It took me a while to recognize what was going on with me. I finally sought professional help. I went to a therapist, whatever, I got on medicine, and now that wall that you're hitting every single day, that wall for them was coming down with the use of therapy or medicine, and so that encourages you to go out and seek professional help. I think that if you are a man and you are going through mental health therapy, and again, our call to action last episode was that you're going to check on one friend every day, or one male counterpart every day, if it's your dad, your brother, whatever. And if you or yourself are going through mental health therapy, you could be an encouraging person for that man in your life that may be too embarrassed to say that he's struggling, may feel like, I'm not a man anymore if I admit that I'm struggling. We're trying to break down the stigma, the social norms of masculinity. Yes, you're still a man at the end of the day if you cry. Yes, you're still a man at the end of the day if you admit, hey, I'm something's wrong with my head. I said in the beginning of this series that I don't find it normal if somebody's not medicated. Most people in this world today are medicated on something, whether it's just something very light or they're prescribed therapy once a week, whatever that may be. But, again, life is lifing for everybody. And mental health is just like you taking care of a broken leg. If you're going to go to the doctor for a broken leg to have that fixed, do you see my face? If you're going to go and have that fixed, your mental health is no different from that. You got to have that fixed too before you can even keep going physically. It eventually affects you physically. You start having high blood pressure. You start having high heart rates. You start not sleeping, or you're sleeping too much, or you're gaining weight, or you're losing weight. Those are some of the symptoms, when you can tell that somebody is struggling. They have sudden anger outbursts. There's a sudden change in their behavior. They're short-fused. They're angry all the time, or they're quiet, or they're reserved, and they used to not be. They used to be the outgoing Johnny on the spot, whatever person. And now Johnny's sitting at home every day by himself, and he's sitting in his room and he doesn't even want to talk to his wife or play with his kids anymore. If that sounds like you, there's help out there. You know, um, again, talk to a friend that you trust. Be the friend. Be that friend that creates a safe environment for your friends that they can come and talk to you. The other thing is therapy is a stigma behind, even for women. I mean, yes, we're more open and we're more vocal about us seeking mental therapy. I've gone to therapy like 3 or 4 times in my life. I'm not ashamed of that. It was very helpful for me. I'm currently on medicine for depression. My sisters don't mind if I tell you, but they're on medication. I mean, but I'm telling you, it doesn't make me less of a woman. And I don't feel less of a woman, and I don't feel weird, and I don't feel abnormal because I'm taking something. But we have such a stigma against our men that they're not going to be as open about that. I'll have a male patient come in, and they're like, my wife made me come in because I can't keep my crap together anymore. I'm angry all the time. I'm getting up at 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night, frustrated. And, I'll immediately go, okay, well, let's talk about this. And we'll just go through the screening, or all the questions. And come to find out, he's severely depressed. And we talk about therapy options. Do you want to go to therapy? Do you want to see psychology? Do you want to try medicine? And majority of the time they want to try medicine. And then they come back in, 8 to 12 weeks, and they're like, I can't live without it now. Like, everybody around me now is like, dude, where have you been? Recently, just this weekend, I actually had a patient. I was getting my hair done, and I had a patient on the phone, and he was talking about how he couldn't go without his medicine, that his son within a day could notice that he had been without his medicine that he's on. And it made him feel better. Like, it made him go, okay, I know that the medicine's working for me. I don't feel like such a weirdo because I'm having to take medicine. And that made me feel better because he was very open with me about that. So anyway, some of the things that we can recognize in men, because it is a little bit different than women, because men are, more headstrong than women a lot of the times. But again, it's the sudden mood swings, it's the outbursts, it's the, being reclusive at home. It's, all of a sudden you were a social butterfly or social whatever, and now you're a hermit at the home. But I'm gonna tell you the big thing. This kind of like what this episode is about. Are you seeking quick fixes? Are men seeking quick fixes or long-term solutions? And I can tell you that men are seeking quick solutions. They are trying to mask their emotions. They're trying to mask their symptoms because they don't know what else to do with it. They're self-medicating with alcohol, with drugs, with food. They're getting addicted to, maybe sex or porn, or, and I hate to talk about that kind of, porn on here, but that's the realistic thing, right? I'm just very honest and blunt and whatever. It's not very uncommon for us to see that a lot more men are self-medicating, and they will do that usually with alcohol, or they'll do it with drugs, or they'll find other outlets, like sex, because they're wanting that quick fix. Part of the reason why they are looking for that quick fix is because they don't want to impair their masculinity to go and get professional help, long-term help. Just like the guy I was telling you about this weekend, that I talked to this weekend. I feel like, for a while he was trying to medicate with alcohol, and he was trying to like cover up, his symptoms that he was having with alcohol, because for a temporary an hour or two, with alcohol you feel elated or whatever, and then it's a downer, and then you're going to feel like crap after you come off of it, after you quit being drunk or buzzed or whatever. But at any rate, once he finally sought out the help and he got on the right medicine, I think that the alcohol usage has gotten a lot better. He doesn't depend on that anymore. So men, again, are looking for those quick fixes because they don't want to admit something is wrong. They don't want to, like, hey, dude, I'm a man, and I'm not weak, and I'm not, whatever. I've got an ego to protect, and that's not your fault. I mean, it's really not men's fault themselves that they believe the way that they believe. We as a society, that's just the way we've raised them. I mean, from boyhood, be tough, don't cry, scratch your knee, get up, go on about your life. So what if you're stressed out? Go to bed, have a beer. That's what I hear and have heard a lot throughout my career is, you know, your friends will tell you to go home, just go or grab a beer with me or whatever. And then one beer turns into five, and five turns into a half, a case or whatever. Or, take this pill, man, take this pill and, you'll forget everything. Well, yeah, you will for however long that medicine's going to last in your head or on the effects of your brain, sure, yeah. But once that comes down, you're right back in the same valley that you were in before you even started any of that mess. And then you have a whole slew of new trouble. It's affecting your relationships. You can't be a good worker, a good employee. You can't be a good boss. You can't be a good leader. You can't be a good father, husband, brother, whatever. You can't be that if you are spending your time trying to cover up the real problem with just short-term fixes. So what can we do about that? What can you do about that? Like if you have a guy friend who is struggling and you know that, hey, he's starting to use alcohol more or he's starting to, pop a pill more or whatever, what can you do to kind of offset some of that? Well, be an active listener. That's number one. I mean, that's all it takes is just be an active listener. Don't be dismissive to what they're telling you. Again, just like the last episode, if they start crying, let them break down. There ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't a darn thing wrong with a man crying. Let him cry. It won't last long. And it may be uncomfortable for you, but that's okay. Like, put yourself aside. Like, you got to put other people first sometimes. And we can do that short term, 5 minutes. And, other things that you can do is kind of normalize that everybody's depressed. Everybody has mental crisis at some point. Everybody is struggling to, you know, remain normal or remain sane. Everything is just difficult. You know what I'm saying? So, just normalize that in your group. If you are not, if you are not hearing the conversation about, or somebody's not asking you, hey man, are you okay today? Or, you're not having the discussion in your group about mental health. Like, I struggled this week because XYZ happened, whatever. And you're not hearing your other group say that, you start it. You be brave enough to do it. I mean, that's a positive way to use your manhood, is to step up and use it positively. And you be the leader for that. Another thing is encourage these people that reach out to you, that trust you, yourself. If you are struggling, encourage yourself. Be brave enough to seek professional help. Now, not everybody is going to have to be put on a pill. I've said that before. But therapy can do a lot. There's cognitive behavior therapy that will do a lot for people that medicine may not do. If you want to try cognitive therapy first, then hop to it. That's music therapy, reading, walking, anything that's, to change the brain thoughts. And so that you're not just so concentrated on the woes of life. Be supportive. That's it. Just be supportive. You don't have to be the fixer. Well, I'm not asking you to be the fixer. You have to be the fixer of yourself, but you don't have to be the fixer of everybody around you. But just be supportive. Listen to these people. Listen to your friend. When you call and check on your partner, your significant other, or your brother, or whatever, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm really struggling today." Go, okay. Pull over on the side of the road if you have to. Stop right then, whatever you're doing, and go, "Okay, I have 5 minutes." And he's gonna go, "Okay, I can talk to you in 5 minutes." Or, say, "Dude, I've got an hour." Or it doesn't matter. I've got all the time in the world to sit here and listen to you. They're more apt to open up to you and go, "This is what's going on." And, you know, I would, we often miss things in the healthcare world and our personal lives. We miss things on people because people are good at hiding things. But if you are putting yourself out there as like, hey, I'm here for you, dude. I'm here for you, friend. I'm here for you, brother. Whatever. They're going to be like, hey, I can depend on that person. And they may not always come to you. It doesn't mean that if something were to happen, that it was your fault. It's just we need to be more supportive, and you need to put yourself out there as being more supportive of the people around you. So just remember, we are not looking for quick fixes to fix our emotional status, our emotional health any longer. The quick fixes are just what they are. They're quick fixes, they're not permanent, they're not long term, and it's going to cause more problems in the long run. We want those long term solutions. You want those long term, and just for the sake of you, like your family, your job, your, whatever, yourself. Um, you're not a burden. Men, you are not a burden when you are admitting that you have, you might have something mentally going on, or you feel depressed, or you're struggling. That's not a burden. To me, that's more of you being a man than it's not. I find strength from a man who will come to my face, or, that I've heard about through other people that they've sought out help, or they go, hey, I'm going to put my manhood to the side just a little bit, and I'm going to go get the help that I need. I just feel like you're more of a man if you go and get the help. You're more of a man if you admit that you need the help. But at any rate, if you don't mind, subscribe if you like the show. Subscribe, follow, like, leave a review. Remember to be bold, and let's stay unmasked. We don't want to keep masking these symptoms any longer. Get unmasked, and I'll see you in the next one.